know, RIPs were changes at the door. And hey, can we have a Jack and Jill list where you can just sort of hit shuffle and print at the end of? That's kind of that's more or less where we're at right now. I'm always looking for ways to help to go a little bit further, with less work. So hence the slogan, less paper, more dancing, which is the Simpsons reference. So yeah, the result is I serve events across Canada. So far, it's 36 events total, about 3,000 dancers, which is again small compared to dance camps, but I can't help but think that what Duncan is saying is we are probably pretty trend again. Yeah, I very much echoed all the discussion points we had online of should we be charging, how do we make money, should we be making money, how do we deal with the organizers who are unified their customers. As lovely as they are still. I have a friend of mine in graphic design, and she has very similar problems with freelance customers. Where it's
always.
Yes. The sound of sometimes. That's me. That's what I do.
The thing which jumped out at me is like you can kind of press a button when people check in and so you have that data of like the times that they.
Not times, but that is an itch. I really want to track the times. Actually, I've got something to show you as well.
That'd be kind of interesting to see.
When people show up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gallery. I didn't do one for arrival times, but I did do one for sign-up registration times. Because we did an event with Stephen originally where we didn't have the money ahead of time, so I was managing the event, but the entire exec for Toronto Lindy Hop was biting their nails and going, are we going to break even? Are we going to break even? And I had to go back and mine data and say, look, this is normal for now. So I've been trying to do this with, this is when people register in a number of weeks before the event. Yes, the access is unlabeled, I'm sorry. But you'll know that the laptop. Actually, 2 weeks before. That's where that peak is. And 2 months before is kind of when everyone registers, and before that it doesn't matter. It's kind of what I want. So one of the geeky things I would love to do is get together with everyone as a registration system, see if we can put our data and do stuff like that.
You'd have to have a way to classify different events, right? Because local events, regional events, and national, international events will all have different, because of airlines. And because of airlines, I think it's safe to assume, like, Frankie 100 was how many months beforehand? Well, I mean, and they're also going to... Right,
I think it also depends on ticket structure. Like, events that sell $20.
It would be great to compare that. Because we've been thinking about changing our structure.
And judge up in price and get a different thing.
You know, I did a meta-analysis. I tried to do an analysis, again, unlimited data of, like, how many, like, can we get people to register early just based on early registration? As far as I could tell, that did almost nothing. Like, if only it shifted the registrations over ever so slightly. So my guess is it probably does less than people think it does. So if people are using it as a way to raise funds earlier, I don't think it's effective. People are using it as a way to give this.
How are we doing this so that if you can't afford it, you either have to sign up earlier or like, well, you had a chance.
Yeah.
Now you have to come, and a lot of times people are like, oh, well, I think also psychologically it helps. It's easier to pay $95 if it used to be $75 than if it's always been $95, because you can be like, well, I'm paying $20 for being late, as opposed to why is this event $95? Cheap ass bastard. I mean, you could also do the other way around.
Yeah. I think it's also just a very good promotional tool. It gives you a chance to put Facebook things like, only one day left at this price.
That's one of the most important reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, you get in trouble for too much spam or whatever.
Yeah.
But when there's an actual deadline,
there's a reason. Yeah, we see sudden bursts. Like I would say, because of that, our registration would look like this, right? Because you get a whole bunch of registrations that happen whenever you post one of those.
Yeah. Yeah. That is averaged out over several events. That's the other thing I noticed is that every event is slightly different and shifted in our local market. But what's amazing is that it comes out to such a clear shape. So makes me wish I had paid more attention to some probability. I didn't do as well. I would be up for cooperation. Actually, I'm up for cooperation on anything, but that is something that I'd love to really cool data about.
So there was a thing, Fiona of Harang like posted something about how do we get leads to sign up more often.
That is something else I analyzed actually 4 years ago. I tried to find out if there was a statistical difference between leads and follows signing up early, and I couldn't find a statistical thing. Like the correlation was so small, it was.
That makes sense. I think the problem is that there are not as many leads and follows, and what happens is they push because they need. Yeah. And eventually, as things get close to the end, a bunch of leads get free or gets discounted.
I have a potential maybe solution for that problem, but it's nothing really too better. But it's a lot of cooperation
down to that. It's like it's not really a web problem.
Yeah, but it is something that requires cooperation.
So
my thought was that if enough events.
I'm gonna try. I don't really know how all this works.
Every time there's an event, there's a competition at registration, which follow and sign up those leads. So when leads sign up, they say which follow, got them to sign up, and then what happens is they say
that follow gets discounted.
Well, what I was thinking is that any event that takes part in that puts a ticket or 2 tickets into a pool, and then the winner for this one gets a ticket to the Colorado in the exchange, and then the winner of the Colorado gets a ticket to Rang or whatever else.
Hi. Sorry.
Hey.
Yeah, go
Oh, there's a piano stool.
So I was thinking about putting it on the follows to try and increase that and give it an incentive for it, because I think girls are the best way to get. I mean, without what we get.
That rubs a lot of followers up the wrong way.
I know, that's why I just cut myself short, but that's not for public, but girls are the best way to motivate guys.
That's how we market Case Western, being an engineering school. You say, you get to touch girls, you get to meet girls, and then it's a lot of guys.
Is that on your website? Like, you get to touch girls?
Unfortunately, no, but
So who are you?
I'm Jennifer. Hi.
Tell us more, Jennifer.
I'm from here. So I'm just a new web dev, so moving on Rails and that stuff.
So speaking of sign-up ideas, here's something we were considering for the SFLX Reg, which is actually about to open, so we're probably not going to do it. But we were actually thinking about, so I'm going to give it to you guys, and maybe one of you will steal it, and we'll be great, and we'll wish we did this. But the idea is we have a flat price we set for the event, like $95 for SFLX, and then we tell people, whether they sign up other people or not, we tell people, as people sign up, this is how much the event is going to cost us, right? And so once we hit this many people, your price will go down, you'll get a refund at the door. So like, if you paid $100, and it turns out the final price was like $83 to show up at the door, with your packet you're going to get, $17 back, right? Or a PayPal refund, which we can process one or the other. The only problem is we can't quite figure out how we would get early price reductions without making it so complicated that people won't understand the system. But we can have different tiers, like, we're going to give X percentage of our money back to these people if you register for this date. That's one of the reasons why we haven't decided not to do it.
Slightly on the similar lines, Cafe Swing Dance Festival did something which I don't know how it worked, but I think it was a good idea.
Right.
So a common complaint from that event was that it was just too expensive for a lot of people.
Right.
And so what Joel decided to do this year, last year rather, was he made it extremely cheap. And then he said, if we get less than 150 people sign up, this is going to be a dance only thing. Get 150 to 200, we're going to have classes on Saturday.
That's a stretch goal.
If it's 200 to 200,
Oh.
we're going to have classes
Wow.
on Saturday and Sunday and an extra dance.
That's like the lean dance camp.
Yeah.
We thought about doing things where we'll know we'll add another band. The problem with that is you have to have super early registration to change some of those things, right? It's like, unless you can find teachers and bands who oh yeah, you can hold us. It's the only reason it doesn't work.
So,
and dancers won't register 4 months in advance for that.
Yeah, what I was going to say was a friend of mine who, I don't know, he earns a decent whack, and one of the things that he was saying was this, it was like this freakonomics thing, which is that if you have an early bird thing, that doesn't actually, I don't know, any kind of price incentive doesn't encourage him to sign up earlier. It just means that it's like, oh, I can pay a bit more for the privilege of signing up later.
Yeah.
Right, which is kind of the same thing I was saying before about the psychology of
exactly.
where that money's gone.
Cool.
I think what would be interesting is not just to try these, but to follow up. But did it actually help, or did it?
Yes. This is the key thing. It's like for me, which I don't think in that conversation with Fiona, I don't think there was much. It's like you need to test these things with actual data, and it's difficult on the scale of a Dance because you only have things aren't really that comparable necessarily. Well, I don't know. Maybe that's not right, but because it only happens on a year-to-year cycle. But still, like actually having data on, okay, we did this year. Can we make any inference as to whether that made a difference?
The problem is how many people actually organize more than just 1 or 2 events, and how many of them are willing to do experiments on an event, which may. So it's like I'll tell you what, I'm going to run 2 SFLXs this year and see which one does better. Do some A/B testing on
No, but I mean like year to year. This is what I'm saying. It's like year to year would be.
Maybe what would make more sense is to take the combined experience, not necessarily the testing. I mean, maybe this is no longer a web dev issue.
No, sure.
But I mean, it's like, of the few organizers who actually have organized for multiple years running, it'd be great. Maybe that's a meeting we should also be having in Frankie 100. Is if you organize more than 5 events, 5 large annual events, it'd be worth sitting down and talking about.
Probably the best people. We're probably the best people to do this kind of analysis. Because we've got access.
No, because there's information that I have as an organizer that has nothing to do with the information I have in registration systems. Yeah. Or because we use one of these new custom registration systems instead of camps, because there are things that I'm experimenting with, but I know I'm not going to go bothering either of you guys to go implement them just for our ideas. So.
Yeah.
I'm here, by the way. Sorry I'm late. I live here in New York City. I'm actually just getting development.
Oh, good. Cool.
Oh,
cool.
Okay.
Guys are like,
yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, it's great.
Jennifer.
Yeah. Nice to meet you.
Let's get this together.
bring the stool over. So who are we trying to get online here?
I think we have a couple of people in the room. I'm just going to see if this is how we actually
Oh, are they listening to us? And
talk to them.
Yes. From what I can gather on Facebook, at least well, yeah.
We're on YouTube Live right now! Millions of people are watching. The thrilling story of Lindy Web registration.
That no one really knows exists anyway.
You probably need to sign up for this meeting.
Well, I think we have 2 basic services. Are there any others? There are 2 basic services that we generally provide, which is the registration kind of and organizational service, and then the event and calendaring, such as like Swing Out London, of which there are kind of, in my opinion, 2 worlds as well, which is kind of the regular events calendars, which is what Swing Out London generally is organizing, although you put in one-offs in there as well. Right? I'd say like more than 3/4 of the events you have on there are regularly repeating.
Yeah,
different information.
That's true. Well, maybe I should. Maybe I can talk for a little while about that.
It's the nicest local calendar I've ever seen. So
I'm going to check it out.
Yeah.
SwingoutLondon.co.uk, right?
Yes.
It's well done.
I'll get the.
It's also fancy looking.
Get that.
My stuff is well done.
Yeah, my stuff is well done, but I did the design.
And that's it.
We can talk.
Let's talk. You want to build a theme for Dance Cal because it's now themeable. I'm going to make one that looks like Swing Planet. So Swing Planet actually reduces the information you have. Is Swing Planet online?
Swing
I want to talk to you. Why are you wasting all of our time? Swing out. Did I say that out loud? Is this being recorded?
Yeah. Yes. Also, I think she might.
Put it on YouTube. I have strong opinions about that. Some things should be duplicated, some things should not.
Cool. Well, yeah. Okay. So maybe I should talk about that. I guess like maybe I'll change this. What I wanted to.
Swing Out London is a way of account.
Yeah.
That's you, right?
Yeah.
No, the website is here. It's actually got its own hotel room. It takes up so much space.
I'm gonna get.
That's it.
This is a bespoke. I wrote something from scratch in Ruby on Rails. Because.
It's just I think my phone butchered it.
Partly because one is
that neighborhood street.
but yeah, right.
Well, I mean, yeah, but it's a nice example of how like there are that we have kind of slightly different needs than the general purpose, right? I mean, like he's got all the different neighborhoods in there,
Right.
which we need not as
Just let him introduce it.
Yeah.
So the thing about London, which is maybe, I don't know, there are some things about London which I think are maybe different to some other scenes, and the way that events happen are maybe different to how other kinds of events happen. So in London there are weekly events which tend to run pretty solidly, regularly. There are monthly events which can be fairly volatile because competition for venues in London is really harsh, and so it's fairly common that a venue will run for quite a while and then will get moved out because the owners realise that they can get some heavier drinkers. So basically, what that means for me is that like anything which is anything less than weekly, I don't want to ever assume that anything will that will just keep going, because for my mind it's much worse for someone to try and go along to an event that isn't running than for someone to like not have this way of finding out about another. So yeah, I'm gonna stick to what I've read actually. So I wanted to basically bring out 3 things which I think are generally applied to a lot of things that you build on the web, and how those relate to Swing Out London. So the first one is starting small, otherwise you are unlikely to finish it at all. I've seen a lot of I've like taken an interest in lots of different kinds of listings websites that people have tried to do, and in general other kinds of sites, and it's really tempting to be like, oh, we could do this, but like, hey, wouldn't it be great if we could add this feature, and as a result they don't end up doing anything particularly well, and most of them don't survive very long. So it's about doing one thing well and really useful, even if that's only a small thing, is so much better than doing 10 things in a mediocre way. Yeah, part of this is about being clear on the strengths and weaknesses of the other things that are already in the space. So in London there were a few different calendars, and there was a regular weekly mail out. But the problem for me was that things go out of date, and so organizers sometimes are keen to put things up. People are less. Yeah, exactly. So things stay up there and hang around for a long time. So for me, it's like really important that it should be curated. And actually, I've probably given myself too much control, and they need to like help people submit their events to me more easily. But yeah, so the first thing, starting small. So I started out with so Swing Out London is a column of mostly weekly repeating classes, no workshops, no kind of intermittent courses, and my thinking is that's useful because it helps a beginner find their first class, and then people more experienced looking at workshops or whatever, they will probably know where to look by that time, and that would also be a hell of a lot more work to keep track of. Cool. So the next thing is making it as little work as possible to run. So a bunch of the choices that I've made in Swing Out London are really optimized towards that. I record as little information as possible. My philosophy is that you want the information on there that will help someone decide whether they want to click on a link. And this is where just using Google Calendar for weeks it falls down. So there is still a site called Swing Junction, and the problem is it just shows the name of the event on a day, and I don't know. I don't know like the venue that's at, which I might already know. I don't know where that is.
Someone on the Google chat is sending me Sean. Sean is saying, any chance you guys can get on the secondary hangout instead?
Well,
somebody set up a second Google Hangout maybe?
Yes. So the problem is, I think these things have wicked long URLs.
Well, I don't know if that's something that you could type in. You can type in.
I'm not on Facebook on this.
I'll tell them to send me a tiny URL for it.
So minimal effort. So I think if I had added more features or tried to be more ambitious, then I would never have actually carried on doing it. And to be honest, at the moment, it's at the limit of what I have time to manage in my spare time. And so any new development work that I do is all about making it easier, making it less time to work. And like, sorry, it's Jeff, right? Yes, like Jeff was saying, making computers do things that computers are good at, which is automation and removing tedious tasks.
Data.
Cool. The third thing is, if you build it, they will not come.
Don't build it. Wait.
So there's this lie, basically. There's this whole Web 2.0 thing, which is like, hey, we can just crowdsource it. We build this awesome thing, and people will come and provide our content. And that just doesn't work. People will come and provide your content if you put a lot of work into it up front. People will come provide your content if you've already demonstrated that this is a useful thing. So what that means for Swing Out London is that I basically like did all the listings myself, like scoured all these things, signed up to all the mailing lists, and it was actually it was like a year before anyone actually submitted an event to me.
Dan Scott had the same kind of thing. People were using it long before the organizers started.
Sure.
There's still some organizers yet to push.
It's not just in the Lindy Web world. Reddit, the first year was all the organisers submitting their own stuff until it started to take off.
And it's so there's an analogy to Facebook groups. It's like you can set up a Facebook group and tons of people will like it and join it, but they won't necessarily actually engage with it proactively. What they might do is, if you post something interesting or dare I say slightly controversial, then they'll respond to that. But it takes a while before people will start actually proactively starting conversations. And I think part of this is because on sites on things which are about collaboration like that, the reason that you do it is basically to get that little hit of, hey, I'm significant, someone liked my thing and commented on my thing. And that's not going to happen, that effect isn't going to kick in until you already think that this particular page or site is actually interesting and people are looking at. So, yeah, so those are my things. I guess we go back to your question about one-off things versus repeating things. I guess it's more just that the main volume of stuff is repeating things, but I think it's like probably 70-30. Like one-off things happen, or irregular things happen. So I never list a date that I never list things as repeating if they're less than weekly. So that means that
okay. So according by your software, by your definition of repeating, then it's only the weekly stuff that's repeating. But if you consider monthly stuff to be repeating, but you just have to kind of manage it so it gets maintained, you're more than 70% repeating. Right?
Well, so it becomes this balance between putting something up and marking it as cancelled. It's like how much do you trust? Which do you trust more?
No,
that someone's going to tell you when it's cancelled, or that someone's going to tell you when it's got
Sure, I understand why you do it the way you do it, but arguably, you're not counting the monthly stuff as repeating.
Yes, but specifically because the balance of these two things is in that direction. If in a different context, if I could rely on people to tell me when things are cancelled, then I would do it the other way. Yeah, cool. So I think some scenes.
Someone's saying shuffling something.
Like I say, some scenes work in quite a different way. Like I think London is quite unusual in having almost all drop-in classes rather than courses. And I think there's more of a bias towards school-organized dances rather than bands and independent promoters. And maybe that's something specific, but I'm very interested in the idea of like repurposing this for other scenes. But I guess the main blocker for that is that it needs someone who is a curator as well as someone to actually help build it.
There we go. tinyurl.com/f100web.
Boom.
Well, Jonathan's doing that. Just to echo what you're saying about if they will build it, they won't necessarily. I found, at least in the first couple of years, it took